that is my introduction. Without further ado, let's jump into it. This is the agenda. We're going to talk about macro updates very, very briefly. We're going to talk about AutoNDA upgrades and fixes. We're going to talk about our 2024 roadmap, which is very cool and exciting. All of it is cool and exciting. We're going to talk about some big upcoming products that for the most part are launching now in the next couple of weeks. So they're separate from the 24 roadmap because these are things that we've been working on that are here that we want you to use. We're going to talk about integrations and SOC 2 updates. And then I'm going to share at the end, depending on how much time we have, I think everyone on this webinar has access. You were only invited to this webinar if you already have access to AutoNDA. Doesn't mean that you're using it daily or that you're using it much at all, but it means that you've gone in there, you probably created a test, maybe you've done your integration setup, but when we talk about implementation tips, what I'm really talking about is helping you put this tool in the hands of the rest of your business so that you can drive adoption and utilization and get the value that we put into the product. So that is the agenda. Macro updates. We now have over 700 in-house teams that have requested access, and this is just in the last 60 days or maybe 70 days. So this is wonderful. It's forced us to work harder and faster to make fixes and upgrades because with this many people requesting access, and the second number here is 350, with this many organizations now in the platform using it every day or every week or whatever the interval is, it means that we have learned a ton. You all have broken some things that we didn't think could be broken. You've introduced us to use cases that we overlooked or just hadn't envisioned. And now we're having 50 NDAs created every day on the platform. Listen, we're going to blink, I'm going to watch this webinar recording in a year. I'm going to be embarrassed that I told you that it was 50 a day because it's going to be 200 a day or it's going to be 500 a day. But we are a startup. And so on this journey, 50 a day is a good number for us in terms of NDA volume running through our machine, running through our platform. But I wanted to show those numbers so that you knew that you're in good company and that we're working hard to meet the needs of not just you, but a lot of other people. I'm not going to take you on this journey of our people, but you know me. Ali is on the call with a rotator cuff surgery, so he's off video, but he's very much here, and we'll hear his voice in a couple of minutes. Jordan Trevino is our CTO, and then Electra Yapona is based in London, runs an incredible firm called TLB, and she is on our board and very much embedded in what we build and how we build it. While I represent that I'm an in-house attorney of past and earlier in my career, I don't have her DNA or her team's DNA. So a lot of what we build and how we build it is influenced by her team. A lot of the updates that I'm going to be sharing with you today are built, not a lot, all of them are built and enabled by our engineering team in Mexico City. And they're led by Jordan Trevino, who was on the previous slide. And these are incredible people who when you give us a feature requirement, these are the people who are rolling up their sleeves and getting the work done to make it possible. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and say thanks to them for all of their hard work. Okay, let's jump into it. We're going to get into the material now. So we're going to start with upgrades and fixes and then go through the agenda as I outlined. Ask questions, interrupt me. You can do it through the chat or through the Q&A, or just sit back and watch. I'll try to speak with lots of inflection and make this as exciting as possible. And hopefully the substance will wow you at times, or you'll get some head nods. But by all means, if you are so inclined and so moved to ask questions, we encourage them, and you are welcome to do it. Okay, as a setting, we're going to talk about upgrades and fixes, but it's in the backdrop of the key features that we're trying to solve for. So if you are wondering, like, hey, why didn't we fix something, or why isn't something there? This is sort of the foundation of the problems, at least in this moment, that we are trying to solve. So we are trying to be your NDA repository. Eventually, we want to be your repository for all contracts. But today, we're trying to be your NDA repository, meaning all NDAs flow in here and you have visibility, access, transparency. And so we're going to talk about what we're doing from a repository perspective and where that is at. But that relates to some of our updates and upgrades. We want this to be a self-serve access vehicle, whether that's for other people on your in-house team, or if that is for your business team, which is what we really want, right? We really want you to not be in the middle of NDA requests for your organization, so that if you have 3 business development and corp dev people, or if you have 300, that they are able to use this in an elegant way to generate NDA requests without your involvement. What an incredibly powerful idea. Advanced controls is the next one. And this is about when we say self-serve, and it gives us as lawyers anxiety, like, oh, but what are they going to do with that access? Well, we need controls, right? And so we put a lot of energy into how we can enable for you the controls in the platform that give you the confidence that what is going out and what is being managed is with your lock and key, right? Because I can't say to you faster and not say to you control. To use an analog, when Zoom, the feature launched many, many years ago, and we all entered this wonderful, complicated COVID era, Zoom was this wonderfully open platform. And the result of it was that there was lots of abuse and they sort of lost control. So they had to come back and say, we want it to be accessible, but we also want to give you control. And we think in the same way. We want your teams to be able to use it and generate requests and have visibility and move your business faster, but we want you to have control over that process. But that control needs to happen at a macro level, not daily control, not micromanagement control, because that brings you back down into the weeds of NDAs where we don't think you should be, or hopefully you don't think you should be. In-app negotiations, this is something that we are enabling now, but we want to enable more and more of in the future, so that negotiations, when they do happen, whether it's for an NDA or another agreement type, are happening faster and in a more standardized fashion. Because we can't eliminate all redlining in negotiation. Lawyers got a lawyer sometimes, as we say, whether we agree with that or not. And so enabling in-app negotiations is another big area of focus for us. Custom templates, this is what's coming. We're going to talk about it today. And we're going to actually do a demo first week of December. So look out for that. But the ability to move past our standard NDA into your custom NDAs, also into your other custom documents, M&A agreements, MSAs, DPAs, whatever it may be. So we're going to talk about that today. And then advanced integration. So this is about bringing the power of AutoNDA into the collaborative tools that your sales organization, that your legal team is using. And this might be Slack, it might be Teams, it might be HubSpot, it might be Salesforce. And Ali will talk about this in a few minutes, but what this is really about is making sure that we don't have to force a new set of behaviors in order to move faster. And so if the goal is to generate NDAs in real time immediately, and your sales team is in Salesforce, well, they ought to be able to do that completely within Salesforce, so that the NDA is going out to the counterparty, and that they don't have to come to AutoNDA in order to do that. So we'll talk more about that, but these are the sort of the key features. So now let's get into key upgrades and fixes. We are constantly making upgrades and fixes. So this is a dynamic moment in time view, and it's not exhaustive. There's lots of tiny things that are happening all the time. And so the first one where I mentioned wide scale usability improvements, listen, every single day, if you haven't logged into the platform in a month, I guarantee there's going to be 100 things in there that are materially better, if not just slightly better than how it was before. So that's number one. Counterparty reminders. This is just a miss on our part. You send an NDA out, or someone on your team sends an NDA out, and I'm actually going to show you what this looks like. It's intuitive, but you send it out, we had it set up where no reminders went back out. And we know that this is necessary because maybe they missed it. Maybe they're not ready to sign today. And so now they can't find it in their inbox. And so we have counterparty reminders enabled. This is rolling out starting today. And so if it hasn't hit your account yet, it will in the next 2 or 3 days. But what this means, you don't have to do anything. You'll have the ability to turn this off or toggle it up or down based on frequency. But the default is that your counterparties will start to receive updates until they sign, reminders until they sign. And listen, what is the goal here? Increase speed, increase completion rate. So really happy with this upgrade and this update. In-app negotiation redesign. I'm actually going to show you this also right now. I need to switch browsers or windows really quickly. So give me 1 second as I do this. Right here we go. So this is what it looks like for your counterparty. Hopefully you've seen this because you've run some tests. My fake company is called Global Fish Co. And by the way, if you haven't seen this, we're using the AutoNDA standard. We tell the counterparty what that is because we want them to not redline and not edit this. We want to say, listen, thousands of companies have adopted this. You don't need to adopt it, but you also don't need to redline it. In the instance where it is not being received by the authorized party, which means the salesperson or whomever sent it to their sales contact, not to the legal contact or the CEO or the GM, whoever's going to sign it, you can click on this one right down here that says want to assign to someone else and route this. But that's not the purpose of what I'm showing you right now. What I want to show you right now is this really cool new capability or new design flow. We got lots of complaints. A lot of people like in-app negotiations, but you all know that the vast majority of times, 90% of the time, the counterparty is not going to negotiate. And we had a big button right here that said propose changes. And it was just, we were so proud of that feature that we sort of over amplified its use relative to the desired outcome, which is to sign without making changes. So now the way it is structured is we are prompting them to sign the NDA right away. They can obviously go and look at the key terms, the purpose, etc. If they really want to go and scroll down to the terms, they can, but we're not recommending or suggesting or pushing that they do. And then, of course, they can sign the NDA. But there's this toggle button that gives these other options. And the other options are to decline the agreement, to download it as a Word document. We don't want either of these two things to happen. They can assign to someone else, that's great, or they can propose changes. And the proposed changes environment is similar to what it was before, where they're being prompted to change purpose, confidentiality period, etc. But they don't need to do that. Of course, they can just go to sign. But this is a new UI that I think is more suited for the primary use case of the NDA flow, which is default, they're going to sign it right away. And it's not necessary that we prompt the proposed changes flow. As proud of it as we are, that can happen within the app, we know that the 90% of the time, we're going to go straight to signature. Okay, let me get back to the main presentation. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay, I am back. So we've talked about counterparty reminders. We talked about in-app negotiation redesign. I'm going to show you this right now, purpose dropdown configuration. This is really cool if you haven't seen it already. I'm just going to speak to these other ones. And you can, we can talk more about it if you're interested, but we moved our data warehouse to AWS Ireland. We were already using AWS, but so many of our customers are in Europe that this became a requirement. So this is now, maybe 60 or 45 days old news, but I think many of you hadn't heard it, so I wanted to share it. And then we now have our data policies. All these are going to talk about SOC 2 updates, but we have data policies if you're curious at trust.simpledocs.com. SimpleDocs is obviously our website, and so you can go to the trust subdomain. And then the last is just e-sign integration speed and stability. It's actually a big deal to rapidly and quickly integrate with Adobe Sign or Dropbox Sign or DocuSign, and we were pretty good on the speed, less good on the stability, but we've come a long way now, and we're seeing very, very few errors. And when they happen, they get resolved very, very quickly, which means that even when there is an error, you probably don't feel it or experience it. So I just wanted to give the update that eSign has come a long way from a stability perspective. Okay, now let me jump into the product and do a quick demo of one of the features that I just mentioned relating to purpose. So this is every one of you should have this workflow in your dashboard. I'm going to go into, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to terms, and here it is in blue. Add another purpose. So right now I have a default purpose to explore data integration partnerships between our companies, and now I'm just going to add a second one to explore marketing opportunities. I know pretty weak. I'll trust that you'll have much better purposes than I do. And what this does now is, and I'll show you, I'm going to pull this all the way through. I'm going to save changes, of course. We've now added 2. When I go into start request, what happens is right here under purpose, the salesperson, if you've turned this on for them, you can turn this off. So you don't have to use this. You can force the person to select just one purpose or to write in their own purpose. But now this is the one I just created, and now it's here. And so if you want to preload a handful of purposes, you're able to do that, and the salesperson is going to be prompted to complete this before the NDA is sent. Otherwise, all they have to do is type in organization name, signer, counterparty, and then create request, and it is sent out. So that is that feature. Super proud of that one. Okay, so wide scale usability improvements. Go check it out. Just feel the site. You're going to see lots of updates and improvements across. Counterparty reminders, that is about just making sure that we're getting people to sign it faster on their side, so on your counterparty side. In-app negotiation redesign, I showed that to you. Purpose dropdown configuration, I just showed that to you. AWS, I mentioned. Data policies, I mentioned. eSign integration, I mentioned. So let's keep rolling, but that is where we are with key upgrades and fixes. And hopefully these are well received. Hopefully you're like, at least one of these, you're like, yes, we've had issues with that and we're glad it's improved. Okay, this is exciting. Because it's a 2024 product roadmap, there's no demos, right? I'm not telling you exactly what the product is, but I'm telling you where we're going and what we'll be building next year. And hopefully this is inspiring, and hopefully it allows you to see us in perhaps a different light, because we talk very much about NDAs. That is our foundation, but really it's our go-to-market strategy. To be totally blunt, under the hood of AutoNDA, under the hood of SimpleDocs, our umbrella company, we are an incredibly powerful contract management tool. We use the NDA and we use AutoNDA as a mechanism to get your attention, to be very blunt about it, because we know it's a workflow that is pretty uncontroversial. You want to make it better. But the reality is we're much bigger from a tech perspective than just non-disclosure agreements. And you're going to see a lot more of that next year. So here is the roadmap for 24, a quick recap of some of 23. Custom NDAs are going live now. This is the ability to create an NDA or a custom agreement. Custom agreements are coming at the beginning of next year, but custom NDAs are live now. And this is the ability to not use one NDA as your standard, but use whatever standard you want, but within the flow of AutoNDA. So you're getting all the benefits of the workflow, but you get to the advantage of your own document. AutoNDA Pro, I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. This is live. Multi-tenant. This is a super master environment where you may have different divisions or different organizations, or you may be a law firm, or you may be an organization that needs control from an NDA perspective over several unique organizations. That is coming soon. SimpleForms, I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. And then custom templates. So custom NDA is live. Custom templates is coming next month. And the difference between those two is Custom NDA is just a custom NDA, and custom templates could be an order form, a DPA, an MSA, anything that you can think of that is part of your business workflow. Okay, 2024, Repository Pro will be coming out. So we have a very cool repository tool now that hopefully you are using and seeing. So when you have completed NDAs, you get visibility through the repository into the document itself. You also get to see the document history, who signed it, when it was signed, what were the variables that were agreed to, was it negotiated, on what terms was it negotiated. Here they proposed a bunch of changes. We didn't agree to all of them, but it still got done. Any other notes or comments? Approvers, if you're like, gosh, who in the world approved this crazy agreement? You're going to have that metadata tracked. And so all of this is in the repository today, which is wonderful. But where we're headed, and we talk about Repository Pro, this is all of your agreements, both future and past, both agreements that are running through our software from a workflow perspective, and agreements that are not. So agreements that are not run through our system would be an order form or an MSA that was signed last week or was signed tomorrow, but is not routed through our system. Our AI-enabled tools will allow that to get uploaded and to be sorted and tagged so that you can search it and discover it the same way the repository tool exists now. Advanced editor. And do me a favor, you can send me a note privately or maybe I'll do a survey after the event, but I'd be very curious to know which of these are most interesting to you. We're building them either way, but it would be helpful for me to know which ones you love and which ones you're indifferent to. Advanced editor. This is the capability to manage red lines and negotiations through a Word add-in that is powered by SimpleDocs, and it connects back to your platform, to our platform, so that the history of the negotiation is also part of the metadata history in the repository. So you don't just see how the agreement was finalized, but you see the history of the negotiation, and it just generally streamlines your redlining process. But within Word, where we presume most of you and your legal colleagues prefer to draft and to negotiate. We're going to have advanced reporting capabilities. These are dashboards with visibility and trends and patterns. How many agreements of a certain type were signed in the month of September, how many agreements are coming up for renewal in October, how many clauses relating to indemnification did we agree to terms that are outside our policies, how many termination for convenience clauses are there, or language within the agreements. All of this data insight and reporting and visibility is coming next year. Legal front door, this is the operating engine and the access point. At the beginning of the webinar, I talked about self-serve access. We think of that today as it relates to NDAs, right? And how this exists for us today, I'm toggling here, is this is our mini legal front door right now, which is all of your workflows are here. I have one set up right now. You might have 10, you might have 20, might be one for an MSA, et cetera. So this is our sort of junior version of a legal front door. But where we're heading is this will be a place where your business teams can come, your in-house teams can come, and what they're going to see is what you have allowed them to see. And so it could be dashboards on visibility into legacy contracts. For a salesperson, it might be all of their NDAs that they've ever initiated, plus the ability to submit questions, plus the ability to upload agreements that they may have received that require your review and redlining. So that's coming next year. Risk rating is coming. This is also AI enabled, though it doesn't indicate so here, but this is a mechanism where you or someone on your team would upload an agreement and it would get automatically scored green to red, 1 to 10, based on likelihood of it being within your policies or outside your policies. So this is both using AI and your custom playbooks. It doesn't mean that this is your final negotiation. It just means that when it hits your desk, it has already been, hopefully 70% of the lift has been done, so that you can focus on the key areas rather than, spending inch by inch time through the agreement. And then the last thing is interesting and is we're super excited about it, but it's very different from all the others. And that is that we're going to be launching a contracts as a service solution with our partners at TLB that allows for the overflow of redlining to be assigned out from within our platform to a third-party team of lawyers at TLB who will then manage those red lines based on your playbooks. And this isn't just sort of something you spin up in a day. An implementation, of course, is required. Your standards and expectations and SLAs are set. But effectively, as you are managing contracts through our platform in the future, and you are understaffed and it's end of quarter or whatever it may be, you can leverage a team of attorneys to support the redline management. So this is what's coming for 2024. I hope that at least one or more of the things on this list are exciting for you. It's inspiring for you. Okay, let's take a break, take a deep breath. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Now we're going to talk about AutoNDA Pro and SimpleForm, two new products that are coming off the line now and will continue to be refined in the weeks to come. And hold on, Ali is sending me a note. Ali, what's up? Let me take a look. Oh, your video's turned off. Okay, sorry. I'll turn on Ali's video. Sorry, sir. Let's see how I do that. I don't know how to do that. It's not giving me that option. I'll try to figure that out in 1 second. Sorry about that, Ali. Okay, let's keep rolling. So first of all, let's talk about basics. So when we launched AutoNDA, we launched it as a free tool. And what we define as free is going to change over time, not as a bait and switch. And so you should feel comfortable as an early adopter. What you have is not going anywhere. But I want to be transparent with you that we are exploring and figuring out what our free product will be versus our pro product. We're not a not-for-profit. We're here to build a business, a very successful business at that. And so right now, how we're envisioning AutoNDA is it comes with the OneNDA standard template, which you already know about. It has up to 3 users. The assumption is that that's 2 legal admins and 1 signatory. eSign integration is included, and that's DocuSign, Dropbox Sign, Adobe Sign coming imminently, and then NDA repository. So the where we are headed is this is what is included for free. You can get a ton of value from this. You can run a lot of NDAs through it. But what it is not for, it's not for teams that are managing tons of volume, where the main pain point or a pain point is managing inbound requests. And so the advanced version is this. I know it's a bit of an eyesore. In fact, I'm going to expand the screen so you can see it a little bit more clearly. And I'm just going to walk through these because we're talking about SimpleForm and we're talking about AutoNDA Pro. And so let me just tell you what this means in very practical terms. AutoNDA Starter is a package that we're releasing that is for small legal teams and business teams where the 3 user limit won't cut it, where you need more than just a single OneNDA template. You have your own, and even if you use that one, you may say, hey, but in some cases, we need a couple of other ones where you need more control over the variables. And the variables are things like what I showed you before with the multi-purpose, multi-signatories, things where you just need to really customize how the document is accessed, how it's routed. In-app negotiations, as you noticed, we're removing that from basic. Again, not for you because you're an early adopter, but I'm showing you where we are headed. In-app negotiations will be only a part of the starter package. eSign is also included, but it's in the free one as well. And then we're going to have custom alerts coming soon so that you can be notified when NDAs are coming up for expiration or other things that are built into the contracts that you want to be notified about. And then it's going to come with 24/7 email support. AutoNDA Pro is where it gets much more interesting. And this is an unlimited user model which means that you can assign it to, or you can share it with 100 salespeople or 10 salespeople or 50 salespeople, whatever it is, your CEO, your CFO, but it is unleashing the product on your organization and enabling self-serve access, which is the front door concept, which basically means that anyone in the business, based on the rules and parameters you've set, can access this product. You can either add them manually, or they can access it through single sign-on and get into the platform. It also, of course, includes custom and standard templates, NDA repository, all these other things that we mentioned. The other difference here, though, is that this is where we are holding your hand through the implementation process, and you're getting a dedicated account manager. And so this is much more of an enterprise experience that requires a level of setup and support in getting this into the hands of your other teams, and which requires training, which requires lots of steps in the process of going from not having adopted this to adopting it. That's AutoNDA Pro, and this is available now. SimpleForm is our competitor to PowerForms. It's our competitor to a product called ClickWrap, which is offered by Ironclad. PowerForms is by DocuSign. We're not trying to compete with those companies, to be clear, but these are sort of features that we've been asked by our users and our customers to build. And what it is and it says it on that first gold bullet point, it is a counterparty initiated template. For right now, it's just NDAs, but we're going to add other agreement types. And so what this would mean is that instead of a salesperson sending out and generating an NDA, there would be an external link that you could put on your website or not, that you could give to your sales team, you could give to your in-house team. And so when a request needs to be initiated, it's as simple as sending a simple form that is completed by the counterparty. They type in their information, and then that initiates the process of signature routing and everything else that you would normally see. The other aspect of this, though, is that it assumes no negotiation. It assumes that these are very, very standard agreements that just need to be routed. And that might extend into employment agreements or PIIA agreements, whatever it may be within your organization, where you're saying, I don't need a negotiation flow, I just need a routing flow, and I need that to be initiated by the counterparty. I need it to be fast, elegant, and I need all of those agreements to be stored in one final place. So these are, starter is whatever, it's important, but less of news. But Pro and SimpleForm are the news, because what this really is about enabling unlimited usage. It's about enabling self-serve access so that all of your business teams can use it. And it's about the SimpleForm concept that gives your counterparties, that puts the keys in your counterparties' hands to generate NDA for now, but other in the future, to actually generate those documents, not be prompted as the current workflow of AutoNDA is. So that is it. We're super excited about both of these, or all of these, and demos will start next week. And so if you're interested in these, you'll get an email from me either way. But if you'd like to see Pro, you'd like to see SimpleForm, we'll be doing live demos of those starting next week. Okay, Ali, this is your...
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, your video is not working. I'm not sure how that is not on for you, but I can't seem to fix it. So
no, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right. So I just wanted to walk you through some of the integrations we have been working on, and also security is a really important matter, not only for how we get and retain the data for your purposes, but also how we make it easy for your organizations to procure us. So I think it has multiple aspects. So I just wanted to walk through both of them. So integrations, our philosophy here remains that we will continue to work where you work. We will continue to make this a highly integrated product. It should be seamless with other things and other tools that you use. And then there's quite a lot of inspiration we're taking from some of the best of breed enterprise software that you already are working with in how they do integration. So we should try to do how they're working on, and also integrate directly into them. So I think there are both aspects to that we are using as our goal and our vision and our approach. Preston, could you move to the next slide, please? To give you a view of what we've recently released, Slack and Teams integration, these are live and available now. What the visual here is showing is real-time status update. So this feature is available now. What this allows you to do is allows you to see within Slack, you can set up a channel and invite specifically, let's say, your legal team to that channel so that they're the only ones viewing the updates to contracts. So they're seeing when new contracts are getting created, they're getting approved. If the counterparty is proposing changes, you get to see that. And of course, the moment that we all wait for execution of the contract, that also shows up there. And then when the contract gets archived. So all of these status updates will stream into a dedicated Slack channel that you and your colleagues can keep an eye on. And also in here, it's kind of hard to see, but on the right-hand side of each message is a click me button, which you click on, and that takes you directly to the detailed view of the contract, where if you want, you can actually see the executed copy or the most current copy that is being sent around for signature. So the status updates, we believe, speaking with customers was a really, really important feature because they didn't want to be looking at their emails or getting emails flooded by all the status updates, but they wanted to have a degree of granularity on contracts, especially during the very early phases of adoption, where the volume is still manageable and there's, customers are looking for gaining familiarity and trust and comfort with the new way of doing things, that this was an important item. So that's why we prioritized status updates right on the get-go. What's coming soon is actually a much deeper integration, which is going to allow your approvers and signers, for example, to not even come to the platform. They'll be able to see a Slack message directly come to them. And Slack bot will basically say a new request requires your approval. It will have the key metadata that they need. And if they're comfortable with it, they can approve it right there, or they can click me, look at the contract, see everything looks fine, and they can approve it. So it gives them a degree of flexibility on working directly within Slack or being able to bounce directly into the platform and see what it is. And again, I think the important thing here is it allows for real-time enablement of contract steps as the contracts go through their life cycle. A step that I missed talking about here is creation. This is also very exciting. This is where your business users can use Slack or Teams to actually initiate a contract. So they want to create an NDA, no problem. They click on a little Slack bot or a Teams bot and just type in letters NDA, and it'll ask them 2 or 3 questions to walk them through who's the counterparty the NDA is going to go through. Here are the default configurations. Do any of them need to be modified? And then right from within Slack or Teams, they can just press enter, and it's all the NDA is going to be on its way. And if you have review set up, it will end up on the approver's inbox so that they can review and approve it and then release the NDA. So again, doing our best to keeping you and your teams working in the tools where they work, with the eventual goal being that they have to spend as minimal a time as possible in our platform, and they basically continue to work in the tools that they spend most of their lives in anyway. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's great, Ali. And I just want to, double click on creation. I think that's super powerful because, we're going to build our front door and we're going to make it easy for your sales and business teams to generate from within our platform. But that is not a prerequisite. They don't have to come to us. We can enable this capability in the tools, not only Slack, but what's coming, Salesforce, HubSpot, et cetera. So anyway, Ali, this is super, super exciting for me.
Thanks, Preston. And then moving on to security updates, I think here our philosophy here is that we want to have best-in-class people, processes, and tools to make sure that not only the platform, the processes, et cetera, are as secure as they can be, but also it makes it easy for your in-house security teams and procurement teams to be comfortable with the process and making sure that process goes as smoothly as possible as well. So first and foremost, we have a very talented security lead, Taha, who joined us, and his prior experience has been working with Ernst& Young and also its key clients, helping with their security processes, audits, et cetera, the whole gamut. So we're really excited to have him and have him working with us and also with you as we are going through your various procurement steps with your security teams. On the tools front, we have been working with Drata. It is a tool that, if you don't know, it's fine. It's just a behind the scenes kind of a tool. It just works in the background. And it is pretty interesting because it has, for example, monitoring agents on all of our laptops. My laptop, Preston's laptop, it has security monitoring agents on all of our developers. It also monitors each and every service that we are using and constantly making sure that our security, our patches, our updates, et cetera, are all up to date. And we are using best in class things like multi-factor authentication, that if anybody turns it off, we will immediately get notified. So it is a very real-time way of monitoring security processes and controls within the organization. So, Drata is, for example, used by leading organizations like Airbnb and some of the brands that you are very, very familiar with. So we're excited to be working with them and preparing for audit. As part of working with them also, and also this is particularly helpful for your procurement teams, we have a trust center portal, which has all of our updated policies, and then soon it will have all of our controls and what percentage of controls that we are in compliance with available in as transparent way as you can possibly imagine. So I think that transparency just increases the degree of accountability and the work that we need to do to make sure that we are staying as far ahead on the leading edge of security best practices as possible, and making sure that you and your teams, your security teams, are aware of where we are. And then finally, where does this all go? Our big goal right now is to obviously go towards a third-party audit that we are aiming for quarter one of 2024. A lot of work needs to be happening to get there, but already we are actually seeing really encouraging signs. A few of our customer teams have actually put us through a sort of a light audit, or at least doing a double clicking on our processes and procedures, and have given us green light for us to be introduced as a vendor, as a platform in their organizations, because what they're already seeing is a pretty mature, and still a lot of work needs to be done, but a pretty mature set of processes, tools, and people that are supporting this. So lots of exciting stuff on the security. I know it is behind the scenes. Not too many people care about it, and that's exactly how it should be. And we want to sort of keep it that way. So with that, I'll pass it back to Preston. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. And I suspect that folks who are on this call today, you care about this to the extent that it blocks you from adopting a tool like ours. And so we feel confident that we can get through and move through any audits or IT requirements or expectations now, but we're going to continue to get better and in the weeks and months to go. And Taha joining the team, as Ali mentioned, is a big help there, because as we are interfacing with your IT teams to the extent necessary, and we know that it's not always necessary, but for many of you, we will need to, that we feel confident that we have the documentation and the postures and the policies to get through that process. Okay, I'll move through this. I think this slide is a little bit redundant with the previous. We do have a security section on our website. I mentioned that our policies are also posted at trust.simpledocs.com, but we're going to continue moving in this direction. Okay, let me do a time check. It is 49 minutes after. I'm going to take maybe 5 minutes now to talk about implementation tips and best practices, and then I will I'll give you a couple of minutes back for you to get back to your work. Again, super grateful for all of you spending so much time with us today. Let me get back to screen share. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay. So when we say implementation, I'm not going to do a detailed setup for you right now. You can always go to our website, and you can go to resources, and you can go to implementation checklist, and there's a promoting NDA instruction guide and other tools that we'll be adding. But at the very, very core level, I just want to share some high level elements that are maybe obvious to some of you, but I think are worth expanding on and worth emphasizing. There are really, you have two jobs in AutoNDA. You have the job of setting up your workflows, which we talked about. This is your workflow and you're creating all of the rules for it. And that extends all the way to roles and permissions and who the signers are going to be and who the approvers. But once this is done and once it is published, you know, congratulations, you are now able to start using the tool, but that doesn't mean that that happens naturally. It certainly can happen naturally for you because you're in the tool and you can just go and press the request button and start sending out your own NDA. But we know that that only solves, for some of you, that may be all you need, in which case, wonderful. But I think for many of you, that does not solve all of the problem, or maybe even most of the problem, because what you really need is to put this dashboard in the hands of your sales organization and your business teams, or maybe even just your other in-house attorneys who are not using the platform and who are not in charge of configuring it like you were. And so the idea here is once you have set up and once you've configured, you really have two ways to share AutoNDA with your organization. And so I'm just going to walk through those for 2 minutes here, and then we'll wrap up. So the first way is by inviting users. And it is what it sounds like, and it's manual. And if you have a team, I see an anonymous question. I'll answer that in 1 second. If you have 10 people, I would recommend just going in. It'll take you 5 minutes and just inviting these users, right? And you can select group, and you're gonna designers means requesters. So these are synonymous words. You're just gonna add them here, and they're gonna get the invite. So I can invite Ali to my team, and he's gonna get an invite. It's that simple, and now it is off. It's going to tell me no because email has already been taken because he's of course already on my team, but it's that simple to get it out. And that is one way. Another way is through something we called, it's enabling through something we called SimpleLink, which is right up here. So when you go to settings, this says sign in via SimpleLink. And this is where all you have to do is type in the domain of your email addresses for your company. If you have multiple domains, you can add more than one. So if you have a UK domain and a US domain or whatever it may be, however your email structure is, but you add these domains, you turn this on. So it's toggled on, activate SimpleLinks. And then what happens from here is that when I go back to the workflow that I want and I click on it, it takes me to your workflow is live and ready to receive requests, and I can copy it. I can copy the SimpleLink, and this is what I'm going to put in Slack. It's what I'm going to put in Teams. It's what I'm going to send an email about. And again, this use case is where you don't want to manually add users. Of course, you can go and add users. As I mentioned here, but in the case where you have a large body of employees, or just you're not really sure who to add, but you want to make this available, you click on this link, you drop it in, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like live. That's the link, as you can see on my browser. Here it is. I open it, and this is what your salesperson is going to see. Now, granted, I am logged in, so I technically still have my sort of admin rights access. But what they're going to be prompted to do is simply type in the counterparty information: org name, signer, counterparty email. The variables are already set. If you've given them the ability to select among purposes, then they can do that, but they don't need to do that. The default assumption is that I'm going to create a test. I'm going to say this is going to Bob Johnson, and Bob Johnson's email is bob@lawinsider.com, and I'm going to type a note that says, "Hi, Bob, let's get this thing done." And this is now yellow, and you are off. And so this is how fast it is for your business teams with SimpleLink turned on, because they're immediately going in, and it's verified through their email address. So they can only do this if they're a member of your org, so that this isn't going to go external. We have a tool for that. That's called SimpleForms. That's not what we're talking about today, but this is how easy it is. But it all starts with sharing the simple link and enabling that front door experience for your business teams. As you add more NDA workflows, the environment that your salesperson is going to see is going to look like this. So they're going to select among several workflows. But that's a nuance that is not necessary for our discussion today. Okay, it is 4 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm going to stop here. We covered a lot today. We talked about some macro updates of the business, volume, adoption. We talked about the team. We talked about the upgrades and fixes, which hopefully some of these will come as very welcome improvements for the product itself. We talked about the roadmap and how we're expanding beyond NDAs and into custom templates and Repository Pro and all sorts of other features and benefits. We talked about Pro and the ability to upgrade to custom workflows, in-app negotiations, and then, of course, the launch of SimpleForm. Ali gave a great view into the future and present as it relates to advanced integrations that you might benefit from as you get deeper into the relationship with us. And then I just did a very quick overview of implementation tips. And that is it. So hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you will go back and start using the product as it exists today in a better form. And of course, if you want to schedule a one-on-one, if you have questions, if you have needs, please feel free to submit that. It looks like Ali wrote a response in terms of how can we enable the Slack and Teams integration. I didn't see what he put there, but the answer is you probably have to talk to me about it. But we can make that happen for you. So thank you again for your time. It's super valuable for you to spend an hour with us. We're grateful for it. Hopefully we've put you in a better position to use and get value from AutoNDA, and look for these updates every month or so into the future. Have a great rest of your day.